Hola y bienvenidos amigos. Hello and welcome friends. I'm Steve. This is Street Smart Travel. I'm here to do a monthly overview, let's say an update on the ongoing and concurrent states of emergency and other things that are going on here in Ecuador. Basically, we're in a much better place now, December 17th, than we were when I did the last update. I think that was November 13th. And we're still dealing with most of the issues that we had at that time, but some of them have had some pleasant moves in the right direction. Let's say that. So as always, I'll put the links down in the description if you want to do some more research or see where I'm citing this information from. And at the end of the video, I will share with you what I do to minimize the impact of these ongoing states of emergency on my life, which you could do as well. I don't have a way to influence them in any meaningful way or to stop them. So I have to look at what can I do to minimize the impact. And like I said, at the end of the video, I'll go into that. So blackouts, December 17th. Yesterday was Monday the 16th, and we are now down to 2 hours a day of blackouts. 10 a.m. to noon here in Tulipe. And when they started, that was October 25th, and that was 14 hours a day. So that is a huge improvement. Things are moving forward in that direction. I got two articles that I want to go into about that. The first, so Noboa initially back in mid-October promised that power blackouts would be ending December 1st. This is the 17th. We still have blackouts, so that obviously didn't happen. This article is from November 29th. Government clarifies. Blackout schedule says new target is the end of December. A day after saying she planned to fulfill President Daniel Noboa's promise to end electric blackouts December 1st, Energy Minister Inés Manzano said the new target is the end of December. Following her video announcement, Manzano's office released a social media statement saying the change was a clarification of a misunderstanding. That's politician speak for, we don't know what we're doing. So back mid-October, the goal was December 1st. That's when the blackouts will stop. Nobody believed that. And there were a lot of people, electrical engineers, people at the utilities, people who understand the depth and breadth of the problem saying there's no way that's going to happen. Which leads us to the next article. December 13. Industries cry foul as government announces a 15-day total blackout for the largest power users. According to a statement released Thursday by the Energy Ministry, electric service to high-energy consuming industries will be suspended December 15 to ensure that blackouts can end December 20 for most domestic and small business customers. According to Energy Minister Inés Manzano, there she is again, and I think she's also the Minister of Mines, and she ended up taking over that one because the last Energy Minister resigned. According to Energy Minister Inés Manzano, the industries affected by the decision consume 26% of the country's electricity. Among them are the country's two largest mining operations, blah, blah. Fair enough. Big industry uses huge amounts of electricity. Absolutely. They're 100% right. In this article, basically the representative for those industries said, look, we didn't get any advance notice of this. Nobody consulted us about anything. We just got a notice saying you're not going to have power from December 15 till, I guess that's the 30th, right, till the end of the month. Which then also means that the thousands of people working for these big industries won't be working and won't have money. And I think there's talk of subsidies and they'll get paid somehow. I don't know where they're at with that. I haven't been able to find an article about that. But they're right. These industries use way more power. So in order to have blackouts stop on the 20th for small businesses and homeowners and people in apartments and people like me, like vagabonds traveling all over the place, they are robbing from Peter to pay Paul. And that's one way to do it. And it's not the only thing. Government has been doing other things, buying excess electricity from Colombia, bringing in more power generating barges off the coast of Guayaquil, recommissioning thermal plants, things of this nature. So they are moving in the right direction, like I said. Just this is not a small problem, and it's not an easy fix. So things overall on the power outage front, moving forward. Number two, the rains. As you may be able to hear, it's raining right now. Got the trusty little mic going to kind of minimize some of that sound. Hopefully it's not impacting the audio on the video. We'll see. But the rains. It's rained here every day and almost every night, all night, for the last 2.5 weeks. It has also rained in other parts of the country, which has been a huge boon. That put an end to the worst and longest drought in the history of Ecuador, which means that the wildfires that, again, not just in Ecuador, but the wildfires that were blazing across thousands, tens of thousands of hectares have been brought under control. And hats off to the people that have been fighting those the whole time, because that was a losing battle until the rains came in and actually tilted the equation in the favor of putting the fires out, or at least bringing them under control. That was also affecting air quality, so that's no longer an issue, or not as big of an issue. The reservoirs and the rivers are filling up again. That basically results in win-win-win all across the board. So the rain's a huge boon. And as an anecdotal piece, just here in the Campo, there was a butcher that was going around to farms looking to buy some bulls that he could butcher and then sell. And he finally made it up here after checking out a bunch of other farms in the area. And he couldn't find anything that met what he was looking for, because all of the animals were emaciated, because they didn't have enough food to eat and there wasn't enough water and they weren't in great shape. Then he came up here and he's like, all your bulls and cows are enormous, they're healthy, and like, it's a 60-hectare farm. Right? There's tons of places they can graze. There's lots of food. We're not on a municipal water source, so they have adequate water and they're well taken care of here, and they get their shots and they get taken care of. I don't have anything to do with that part of the operation, but he was well impressed when he came up here and was like, how many cows or how many bulls can I buy? So at this point, let me just take a minute. This is a new channel. I've been posting videos, I think, for about 2 months, month and a half maybe. Please do check out some of the other stuff on the channel. I've been doing volunteer work, so I'm going to be posting more short videos, probably just before and after shots of things, projects that I've done. I've been working on farms in the north of Ecuador for about 7 months, volunteering on farms, and it's been awesome. Right? I love it up here. Super quiet and peaceful, and amazing. So do please check out the channel and drop a comment, subscribe. That would help me out a lot. If you have any suggestions for things you want to know, I've been down here for 2 years. I've been all over the country. If there's anything you have an interest in or want to know, drop me a comment. I'll see if I can do an episode or at least address those comments. This, by far, is my favorite article for a whole bunch of reasons. There was a constitutional court ruling. So let me just read again from the article and then unpack some thoughts on that. This is from November 22nd. Constitutional Court rules state of emergency cannot be used to stop anti-government protest. Ecuador's Constitutional Court declared unconstitutional the government's attempt to suspend the right of assembly. Before the court announced its decision, Interior Minister Monica Palacios had claimed the protests were illegal under the state of emergency issued by President Daniel Noboa on October 3rd. The court said, however, that the emergency restrictions applied only to law enforcement activities such as searches and seizures, not to public gatherings and freedom of expression. This is one of my favorite things about Ecuador, hands down. And despite the issues with the narcos and power issues and wildfires and air quality and water issues and blah, 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 this is where I think they get it absolutely right, where the Constitutional Court steps in and tells the politicians politely, you don't get to interpret the law. We do that, and we tell you what it means, and then you go from there. So basically putting her in her place and saying, no, that's way, way beyond what this ruling was about. This is in stark contrast to what happened in Canada. I'm from Canada, with the Freedom Convoy, for example, and what's happening across most of the West in terms of when there's protests. And let me here say, I think people should have the right to gather, right to assembly and to protest, provided it's peaceful. Not condoning violence, not condoning destruction of property, not condoning any of that. In parts of the West, like in the States, if you were rioting and burning cities down to the ground, literally, in the name of this thing, it was okay, but if you're protesting against a different thing, you're going to jail. right? With no due process, no court date, no anything. So it's refreshing to see a country, and it's a small country, but it's refreshing to see the constitutional court step up and say, no, people absolutely have that right, and you don't get to tell them that they don't have that right. It's going through the courts right now in Canada because when the Freedom Convoy was shut down, when the Emergencies Act was illegally invoked, people said, no, you can't do that. And of course, Pretty Boy said, yes, I can. And he lost that lawsuit, that the threshold was not met in that instance to invoke the Emergencies Act. Government is appealing that ruling. That'll be going through the courts like forever. But the point being, in a small country like this, I think the government, or the courts rather, recognize that people need an outlet. You need to have some sort of a pressure valve. If people can get out and peacefully demonstrate and vent, that would be very helpful, because if they don't have that option, things get a lot worse really fast. And a quick note, last month there was talk of a paro, like a nationwide strike, which happens not just in Ecuador, it happens all through Latin America. I've seen them. And that didn't happen, but there were protests in Quito. You can find those videos. Things did get out of hand. People got hurt. Things got destroyed. There were fires. Like, that kind of thing is over the top. I don't condone any of that. But again, if people want to peacefully gather, like they did in Cuenca, apparently, there weren't problems like that. People gathered and said their piece, and that was it, right? Then they went home. Nobody got hurt. Nothing got damaged. So it's just reassuring to see that there are courts and systems in place to enforce the rule of the land, as opposed to somebody in the government deciding that they are above the law and they're going to interpret the law and tell people what they can and cannot do. End of rant. Now, at the beginning of the video, I said I was going to share with you what I do to minimize the impact of these various ongoing concurrent states of emergency, narcos, wildfires, water issues, power outages, right? Go down that list. My whole strategy is basically, I can't control or influence any of those things, so I'm not even going to try. And sitting around and complaining about them is not helpful either. So instead, I chose to volunteer, right? And I've been up through Cotacachi, the Intag Valley, and now up in Felipe. I've been up here since the end of May, so I'm coming up on about 7 months. It's been awesome. There's no civil unrest. There's no narcos. The air quality hasn't been impacted up here. We're not on a municipal feed, so there's no issues with water. Power blackouts, right? Unless you have a generator or you're off-grid with a solar array or something like that. I don't know what the solution is to that. So what I'm suggesting is, if you're already down here, right? If you're thinking about coming down here, just, like I said, things are getting better. It's going to be a little while before they're good again, but they're definitely moving in the right direction. If you're already down here, and let's say you are in a city, most likely Cuenca, and maybe I'd kind of like to not be dealing with this stuff every day, if it's civil unrest or air quality or whatever it is, could you, just suggesting, could you take a weekend or a week or longer and go somewhere nearby, accessible to Cuenca, for whatever time you can spare, especially if you're retired. Have somebody water your plants and feed your pets and whatever it is that you need to do, but just get out of the fray. I used to be in an investment club, and the owner would come out and do his monthly presentations, and for a long time he had a saying that he would use all the time, which was, stay out of the fray and win the day. That's been my whole strategy down here. Literally, just don't spend time in cities. They're super convenient, I get it. But if you can leave for a weekend or a week or longer, find some place to rent, maybe go volunteer, teach English or whatever it is. I'm sure you have skills that you learned over the course of your life that would really help people down here, and they would love to host you, give you free room and board for however long, and it would give you a respite from being in a city and from being exposed to maybe some of the unpleasantness that, again, I can't control it, but I can limit my exposure to it. And that's made a huge difference. Certainly the mental health benefits alone are well worth it. So with that, I will say, like I did at the beginning of the video, basically everything is moving in a better direction than it was a month ago. Looking forward to checking in again in about a month, sometime around mid-January. I will be on the coast at that point. Hopefully we'll see a beach and the sun and palm trees in the background. And I'll have even better news at that point. But let's see what happens. So with that, I will say happy trails. Thanks for watching. See you out on the road.